Do you need to read sheet music if you play songs on the piano? Let's look at this topic in more detail in this video. Hello, my name is Martin Croston. I'm the founder and creator of Buzz Piano, an online piano course for students who want to play their favourite songs in the quickest time possible without the need for any sheet music. The short answer is yes, you should, but you shouldn't have to if you're new to playing songs on the piano. In fact, I'd actually advise against it in the beginning. Here's why. Let me start by saying reading sheet music is important, especially if you want to learn classical music and play more advanced pieces. But when you are fairly new to the piano and you want to play just songs, sheet music can actually hinder your progress, at least in the beginning. Why is this? Well, because it's often hard to write down exactly what a singer is doing, all the inflections, all the different phrasing and other vocal techniques they're using. If you try to play exactly what's on the page, your performance can actually sound quite robotic, mechanical, and without the right feel. Either the sheet music oversimplifies the melody to make it easier to read, or the publisher tries to get everything as close as possible, which is probably quite hard and a lengthy process to do actually. And the sheet music looks really, really tricky to look at, especially with the rhythm. Right, here's an example of what I mean. This is the song Somewhere Only We Know by the band Keane. It's quite a famous song, particularly in the UK, but I think it was still quite a big hit in the US and other parts of the world. Now they've oversimplified this melody, and if I play exactly what's written on the page, it doesn't quite sound right, and you'll see why. So let me demonstrate it to you now. Now what I've played might actually sound quite silly and exaggerated to try and prove my point, but I do have students who play like this, especially if they're from a classical background first, or if they're completely new to playing songs. It takes them a while to play with a better feel. Now here's an example of a song where the publisher has tried to get as close as possible to the actual melody, but in doing so it makes it a bit harder to read, so you have to know the song really, really well in order to pull this off. To sight read it is quite challenging. This is Rocket Man, Elton John, if you see there, lots of semi-quavers, lots of rests, lots of ties, lots of awkward rhythms, which makes it harder to play. So what am I getting at here? Well, you see, I think sheet music can actually become an unnecessary distraction on the piano in the beginning when you're playing songs. Because you've got to learn how to play chords, you've got to learn to play the melody, and you've got to put the hands together. And if you're trying to read all the sheet music at the same time, it makes this quite tricky. Okay, so the solution here is actually quite simple. You need to listen to songs a lot more. You need to develop your musical ear so you can hear the singer's voice in your head when you play the piano. And this is achievable for anyone. It just takes practice, just like playing the piano. You need to do active listening and focus on a different element of a song every time you hear it. Active listening means you focus on maybe the lyrics first, then maybe the melody, then the chords when they change. And passive listening is when you just have the song on in the background, maybe when you're in the car or when you're having a meal. I'd actually go further and tell yourself listening to songs is practice. So if you're busy and you can't play the piano for a day, you are practicing if you listen to the song a few times, but make sure you are actively listening to the song. As your musical ear develops and you hear a song in your head on the piano, suddenly everything becomes easier to play, particularly the rhythm. You play songs with better feel, and they sound better when you perform them. Right, here's an example of what I mean by playing songs with better feel. Let's go back to our Somewhere Only We Know example. Right, this time I'm going to play the song by ear, and my right hand's going to sort of emulate the singer's voice more, and I'm not going to use the sheet music at all. and see which you think is better, this version or the one I played earlier in the video. See what you think. If you'd like to have a go at learning a whole song from scratch without any sheet music, click the link in the description below and I have a free video course for you. Now, while this approach helps you in the short term and gets you playing songs faster, it has another benefit in the long term as well. If you do decide to learn sheet music at some point, you'll find it easier because your ear will guide you more and help you when you sight read songs on the piano. Rhythm will be a lot easier to read because you can hear how it should sound. I often find rhythm is the hardest element to teach as a teacher, and students really struggle with it. They usually pick up pitch easier. So this whole approach should help you when you're playing rhythm. So, do you need to bother reading sheet music at all? Well, yes, you should. Despite what I've mainly talked about in this video, it is a very important skill to develop. I think any musician would really benefit from having a good musical ear and being able to sight read. I just don't think you need to do this in the beginning when you're playing songs. Another reason to read sheet music is that you can actually learn songs faster if you're able to sight read, particularly if the song is fairly complicated with a hard melody or with a very complicated chord progression. But you need a good musical ear to pull this off. So to summarise, your long-term goal should be to read sheet music, but don't worry about it in the beginning if you're new to playing songs. So have fun, play some songs, and look at sheet music later. Hope this helps.